Should I read my little tweet
Wait.
first?
Yeah.
I guess I should do that. Mine said, having a really good hair day, must renew driver's license ASAP. My essay's called The Secret. I stopped weighing myself when the scale read 198. Notice I didn't write when I weighed 198. I wrote when the scale read 198, as if this was an issue that purely described the state of the scale. True, I gave birth soon after, and true, I lost all the weight, plus an additional 10 pounds, without really working on it, so maybe this was just how my body reacted to pregnancy. This was now my second pregnancy, and I was gaining weight at the same rate as my first, when I was on bed rest, and thought I could blame the pounds on inactivity. Obviously, I was wrong, as chasing after an 18-month-old did not prevent me from packing on 10 pounds in between each and every OB appointment. At one point, my doctor asked me if I was eating a lot of fruit. Thinking he was worried about my nutrition, I answered him honestly that no, I really didn't like fruit, but I was eating a lot of vegetables. He said that he wasn't worried about the fruit, he was just trying to figure out where all the weight was coming from. Oh, I said, it's the cookies. I enjoyed my pregnancies. But the thing is, no one really told me I was huge, and I mean huge. They told me I was adorable. And in my cute, swingy, roomy maternity tops that my mom had brought for me at a schmaltzy pregnancy boutique in Philadelphia, how was I to think otherwise? I happily waddled around my second pregnancy with toddler in tow. And when my protruding stomach wiped out an entire tabletop display at the interior decorators, I was the only one in the store to look surprised. Pregnancy does things to a mom's mind. Tiny changes occur in our otherwise capable brains that, like the weight gain, we fail to notice, or even if we kind of notice, fail to recognize the true power of the change. And I was in full denial that pregnancy was my kryptonite and that my supermom status had been compromised. By the way, I am supermom. The really, truly annoying Martha kind of supermom. I lived off the buzz of self-congratulatory pride I fed myself, knowing that I was better than all the other moms who hired babysitters or nannies. I saw them in the various music, ballet, gym, art, drama, storytime classes that overwhelmed my schedule. Those non-moms who gave real moms a break. Ha! I don't need them! Who cared that Sophie was up all night and woke at 5 a.m.? Who cared that my pregnancy restricted me from the life-saving caffeine? When Sophie said doggy, we wrote the word dog on her easel in the family room and then drew a picture of a dog and then went on a walk to find a dog and then went to the library to get books about dogs. We built cars and puppet theaters out of refrigerator boxes. We went to museums and puppet shows and musical performances. When Yo-Yo Ma came on the radio, I identified him to Sophie and explained to her that he is a famous cellist. And then we went to the library to find pictures of cellos, went to Barnes & Noble to buy Yo-Yo Ma CDs to listen to. I shopped at the organic market and made her every meal. Only I, supermom, could do that for my child. I was awesome. So I couldn't tell anyone when I locked her in the car. I'm admitting it now. Now for the world to see, and only now because it may help another younger supermom know that it's okay to not be perfect. And now that Sophie's about to become a bat mitzvah and is this amazing, talented, incredible kid who obviously wasn't traumatized at all by the incident, I can feel safe to laugh about it. But I behaved in a most un-supermom-like way. To continue the Superman reference, I became Bizarro Supermom. Driving around with Sophie, armed with information gleaned from watching Oprah's interview with Gavin DeBecker and having actually purchased but not read his book, Protecting the Gift, I was in the habit of making sure we were all safely locked in our big, candy red, because it's sporty, minivan. I would load Sophie into her car seat, lock and shut her door before walking around to the driver's side, where I would unlock just my door, get in, and lock the door before I closed it. At no point were either Sophie or I in the car with any door unlocked and thus available for some crazed hijacker to jump in and hurt or abduct us. Some may call it overboard. I prefer supermom. So there we were, first thing in the morning, I, hugely pregnant and sufficiently sleep-deprived, nestled into the parking space in front of the supermarket. Another day of errands had begun. I sighed, turned off the ignition, opened the door while depressing the button to lock it as soon as the door pulled open, heaved my body out of the car, shut the door, and walked around the minivan to Sophie's door, at which point I realized my keys were still in the ignition. Did I mention it was hot outside? Did I mention that 11 years ago I didn't have a cell phone? I freaked out a little. I didn't want to scare Sophie, who was not yet concerned about why I hadn't taken her out of the car seat. Oh, and did I mention she hated being in her car seat and would cry when the car stopped? Fun. What would I do? I couldn't run into the shopping center because that would mean I was abandoning Sophie. I started yelling, "Help, help, I've locked my baby in the car." In between SOS or SMB calls, I would squeeze my face as far as it would go into the window vents in the back of the van. You know those small, narrow windows in the way, way back that you open purely to help with circulation? Thank goodness I always left those open. Anyway, I pressed my face into them and sang, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. The ABCs soothed Sophie. Meanwhile, Sophie was kind of looking around like, what? Number one, where the hell's Mommy? And number two, why do I hear Mommy singing? At which point, I would worry that she was worried because she couldn't see me. So I would run back to her window and smile and make silly faces, and then run back to the bed and sing, and then pause and yell for help. Did I mention I was hugely pregnant? Finally, a woman walked through the parking lot with a cell phone, called the local police, who came in 5 minutes, pulled apart the window seal, and unlocked the door and released Sophie. All in all, I would say it was a 10-minute ordeal, but it felt like hours. I was rattled. Sophie was fine. Later that night, when Jonathan came home and asked about our day, I rattled off all the unremarkable incidents. Sophie piped up, "Mommy locked me in the car." "What, honey?" asked Jonathan. "Right, sweetie, we saw a flag today," I interrupted. "No, locked in the car." Yes, it was a big flag. Okay, it did somehow sound like she was talking about a flag. This is truly awful of me because Sophie had a terrible articulation problem and needed me to interpret for her. So, of course, I knew what she was saying, but Jonathan didn't. And I wasn't about to let her rat me out. Daughter or not, I had a rep to protect. I had become bizarro supermom. Years and years passed, and we never spoke about it. Sophie has forgotten, but I never did. Just the other week, Jonathan and I were sitting on the couch watching television. "I don't want there to be any secrets between us. I need to tell you something." Jonathan braced himself. When Sophie was a baby and I was pregnant with Jules, I accidentally locked her in the car. So what happened? A woman walked by with a cell phone and called the police and they came to the crowd. Okay, why didn't you tell me about it at the time? I don't know. Pregnancy brain disorder? Do you have any other secrets? Nope. Can we finish watching the show?